Okay, we are live.
Hello!
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Yvonne here from My Halal Kitchen with Holistic Mom MD, Madia Seed. And we're here for our weekly event of talking to you about optimizing your immune system in a variety of ways. And this week, we're going to talk about healthy fats. I don't know about you guys, but I have lots of questions for Dr. Saeed because she's really on top of being able to explain to us the different types of fats that are good for us, bad for us, and then comparing the good ones for us and how we can use those in cooking is kind of what I do. So let's get started. I have something to
Yay!
show you, by the way, Medea. I have something
What?
to show you.
Oh, yay!
I can't really carry it, but this is my olive oil.
Wow, that's all your olive oil?
This is my olive oil from my neighbor.
Wow! Oh my gosh!
Yeah, my neighbor grows olives, and just like everybody in Turkey, kind of not everybody in Turkey, sorry, but everybody in this area. I'm in the Muğla region, which is south, and a lot of people have olive trees, and if you have enough, people will, press their own olives and give away some oil. It's like liquid gold.
Wow, it is liquid gold.
It is liquid gold. So, back in the States, I usually have lots of different fats to cook with. I cook with coconut oil, ghee, butter, and olive oil, of course. But here, I really just do the olive oil. So, well, why wouldn't you when you have that?
When you have fresh olive oil coming from as a neighbor. Wow, neighbors are giving you olive oil? That's like liquid gold.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. It's really nice. So, Mediterranean climate, that's our fat, right? I mean, other than that, I wouldn't consider it a cooking fat, but, I made you'd be proud of me. I made a chicken broth today. So,
Yummy.
this is my golden, I don't know if you guys could really, really see, or I'll pour it on my computer. Probably you can't really see
Wow.
it. But I stuck a whole chicken in this pot today. And then once it was mostly cooked, I stuck it in the oven, but I kept the broth for drinking. And, not really a cooking fat, but it is, getting all that stuff from the chicken that we're always talking about. So anyway, I thought you would be proud of those two things today.
I know, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
Because seriously, both of those are liquid gold. That
Yes,
is,
right?
especially right now, where we
Yeah.
want our immune systems to be working at optimal strength and health.
Yes.
These
Yes.
are both vital nutrients.
And I know when people say, that it seems like eating healthy is so expensive. And I can tell you, just last week when I was in California, I was at a grocery store that sold, organic chicken broth, your regular size jar for $20.
Regular size is $20.
$20. So I'm sure I could get at least 3 or 4 of those from the pot that I made. So that's about $60 right there if you were to buy that broth. So anyway,
Wow.
it just goes to show people that, we really can take our health in our own hands and, make the things that we're talking about, being really healthy for us. Of course, you don't have to have neighbors, providing your healthy fats for you. But, I look for it like I'm a kid in a candy store looking for that kind of stuff. So
No, but they're so delicious, and especially, you can herb. There's so many, and that's what we're going to talk about. There's
yeah,
so many things that you can do with them to really, top off a dish, to use it in cooking, but mostly for olive oil topping off on dishes. Oh,
yeah.
so delicious.
I don't really use that oil for frying. I don't deep fry. I'll saute or roast things in the oven with that oil. But I'm actually pretty careful with it because it is like my liquid gold. And mostly I use it in salads and, like you said, topping things off like hummus or baba ganoush or salads, So, I still use it sparingly. But rather than buying the cheap, corn oils or vegetable oils. I don't do that. So I have questions for you about all these fats, because
and then I think first let's there's a huge taboo, healthy fats. Ooh, fats can be healthy. What?
Yeah.
Because I think we've been living in a world where fat is not really healthy. That's what we've been taught to believe, that fat makes you fat. And actually, it's the complete opposite, because our bodies need fat. Every cell of the body needs fat. So eating fat will not make you fat and sick, unless there's a type of fat. Yes. So one, the type of fat really makes a big difference. But two, if you eat a lot of carbohydrates, so for example, if you're drenching tons of processed carbohydrates and then dipping that in oil like that, well, that's a different ballgame. But these healthy fats are actually super important for actually losing weight and lowering inflammation. And they're an essential part of life and every cellular function, because what these do is that, it helps to make your cholesterol, it helps aid in, all of these important bodily functions of hormone and metabolism and other metabolic functionings, even immune cell functionings. And it's needed even for cellular structure. And it's really great for your brain. And I mean, even our brains are made out of more than 60% fats. And fats are all of our cells, and all of our nervous tissue are surrounded by fat. So fat, and then all of our hormones are made out of fat. I mean, we need
Would you say, if I were to do an analogy, I would say when a door is creaky or a bicycle wheel is stuck, you put oil on it, right? To kind of make the joints move smoothly and stop making noise, right? So is that true of our bodies as well, that we need that healthy oil, that healthy fat to kind of keep our joints flexible and body running? That's kind of how I feel as long as it's a good oil, a good fat, then it would make sense that it would keep the machine running, so to speak.
It does, because remember, this fat helps our, it's, again, wraps around our cellular structure. It's vital for brain and nerve function. So all of these, to keep our bodies functioning well, obviously you need this. And then heart health. I mean, we can go on and on and on about the importance of this. And actually, another big key, because again, when you look at what's going on in the world right now, and we're seeing that those people that are really sick are those that have metabolic dysfunctions. And in the world right now, I mean, in America specifically, only 12% of the population is metabolically healthy.
Yeah, you said that last week, and I thought that was pretty low.
It's really scary. And 1 out of every second person has either diabetes or pre-diabetes. 50% of the population either has diabetes or pre-diabetes, and if only 12%
I was in that category of pre-diabetic when I, you know how I eat, but I did not catch. There were certain things I didn't catch because I would think, okay, this is organic, you can have it, but you kind of taught me that whoa, certain grains, just aren't going to work. They're not like the ancient grains of our great grandparents, and things are. Even I was very aware of modified foods and synthetics and all that, and I still had a diagnosis of prediabetes. Alhamdulillah, now no more, but that's because you helped me get off of, the dairy, and which I'm still, I got work to do on that. But in terms of the grains and everything and the carbs, I'm, much, much different. And adding the vitamin D that you mentioned.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's exactly where I feel like a lot of people are misunderstanding, because we're like, oh my gosh, so if we need to make sure that we're not obese, but then so we're going to stay away from the fat. We're going to go to the refined carbohydrates. And that's actually what causes the problem, is that when you start incorporating a diet filled with high processed carbohydrates, that is going to be a negative impact on our metabolic health. So
Right.
because remember, this fat again is needed. It actually turns on, there's a hormone called leptin, and leptin is a hormone for satiation. And that can turn that tells you by satiation is like, okay, I'm full now. That's good. So fat satiates us by turning on this leptin. And that's a
Right.
hormone that, again, regulates fullness. And if we eat too many processed carbs and too many bad fats, and we're going to talk about what those are, but if we're eating too many processed refined carbohydrates and bad fats, that can actually disrupt that entire leptin turning on. So therefore, you don't know when you're hungry, you're full. Like you just keep on eating and eating and eating. So it's these refined carbohydrates and these bad oils that lead to a lot of problems.
And also the stuff they're putting into food that confuses your system about when you're full and when you're not as well. So it's like going back to not only what's the healthy fat, but what's the pure product, right? Whether it's like an avocado or an olive, those have like really nice fats in them versus something that, it's a bag of something with processed junk and additives that really messes up your whole endocrine system and everything.
That messes up your entire endocrine system. Absolutely. And because, the bad fats that you're looking at are mostly the ones that are in, all these processed foods. They actually lead to heart disease and lead to coronary artery problems. So those are the ones that you totally want to stay away from. Anything in a processed foods, because we also need to recognize that when we start eating more of these processed fats, they are actually higher in omega-6 fatty acids. And these omega-6 fatty acids, you need a good balance of omega-6 fatty acids versus omega-3 fatty acids. So it's like a ratio of 1-4. So we want to make sure that you have a lot more, if you start eating more omega-6s, then you throw that balance off. And when you throw that balance off of omega-6s to omega-3s, when you have way too many omega-6s, that is really super inflammatory and can cause leaky gut and chronic diseases. So all of these are like trans fats. So these processed foods, these artificial processed foods, contain so many artificial ingredients that destroy your body, but specifically these partially hydrogenated oils, they have a very high, and those are like canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, or all these other inflammatory vegetable oils we got to get rid of.
Yeah, and that's what we've been talking about inflammation since the beginning of this series, right? About the things that inflame the body and things that don't. And it's so, I never really understood that whole topic of inflammation as it relates to our health. I mean, who would ever think that, something is inflamed in your body, but it leads to so many problems, from allergies to diseases. It's very, very interesting. But then you get these pure foods, these healthy foods that sort of calm it down or like extinguish that inflammation. And that's the beauty of it. It's like almost as if you can go one way or the other with food. There's really no in between. Your body can handle processed food for a while, but things really do catch up with all of us eventually. So
no, and then you're absolutely right. So all of these processed foods do lead to more inflammation and lead to all of these chronic conditions that you were talking about. Mm-hmm. And specifically when it comes to these trans fats, they again are found on refined baked goods. They lead to inflammation and immune dysfunction. They can actually increase the bad cholesterol, and they lower the good cholesterol. They raise your risk of heart disease and promote obesity, insulin resistance, prediabetes, diabetes, type 2, cancers, dementia. So all badness. And then also, again, it totally interferes with your gut microbiome. And we talked about that. You guys can go back into the first couple of lectures that we talked about the gut microbiome, because our gut is responsible for our overall health. So if our gut microbiome is off, our body is off. If our gut microbiome is happy, our body is happy. But when we start adding these pro-inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids, from all these processed foods, it leads to gut dysfunction, leading to, and it impairs this normal cell metabolism. And remember, so that omega-6 to omega-3 needs to be 4-to-1 ratio. And so when you put that out of balance, that again leads to premature aging and all the things that Yvonne was just talking about with immune cell and system dysfunction, more inflammation. So all badness. So again, the things that you can avoid completely, they're not. And this is, and again, with the Muslim hat on, these things are not part of our religion. They're all hadith. They're all impure things. The canola oil, 90% of canola oil is from genetically modified plants. And then, so the genetically modified, when you genetically modify something, it destroys your body from the inside out.
And I really encourage everybody to just do a Google search and try to look for a video about how hydrogenated oils are made. It is so horrific. Once you see something like that, you will never want to put anything hydrogenated in your body. Also, GMOs are there's a trail of information about GMOs as well. Like you said, destroying your body from inside out. And the hydrogenated stuff is not made from, anything good. And the process of it, the extraction process is really nasty. I mean, there have been food scientists and food writers who talk about this, like they've gone and witnessed the process of hydrogenating oils. And there's just no way you really want to once you understand it, is you want to put that in your body versus, taking this beautiful olive and pressing it, through a very simple extraction process and then getting that, gorgeous olive oil. So the hydrogenated stuff isn't going to look anything like this, but it's hidden in your foods, right? It's hidden. So it's a little different than your canolas or your other GMO oil that kind of looks like, they try to make it look pure. So there's deception in food. There's a lot of deception in food. So that's the thing, getting to the bottom of things. I mean, that's sort of my nature of my personality. I like to get to the bottom of it. And I think, we are all very visual people mostly. So when you go to the store and you think something looks good and it says natural, do a little digging to investigate, do a little digging.
Yeah. And I think just using common sense also really plays a role because, I've never seen a canola plant or a rapeseed plant, right? How much oil is truly going to come out of corn, or how much oil is truly, but when you think about like avocados, we know that this avocado is filled with fat. So we know that avocado oil is better for you. Yeah. We know olives have tons of fat in them, so olive oil. So the foods that
it's an ancient food, right?
Yeah, exactly.
People have been living very healthily on olive oil for, since forever. I mean, olive trees are, hundreds of years old. You got to really look into that too, right? Like there's something beautiful about what always worked. And it's not to say innovation isn't great and good and convenient, but what price are we paying for that? Well, truly with our health. We're seeing that certain things don't work. Certain innovations are awesome and certain innovations are really not. So
they're not. And so that, I think, again, staying away from those corn, the soybean, canola, safflower, sunflower oils, and then even avoiding those trans fats. And those are found in like shortenings and margarines and spreads. So anything that is hydrogenated, again, commonly found in these baked goods, all bad. Yeah. So now we can go into I think we can go into, all of the alternatives, because I think you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But if you don't eat processed junk and food-like substances, there's lots of benefits and you can find, it's very easy to stay away from all of those other fake oils.
Right. A lot of people are asking about butter and ghee, and I would like to know the same thing. I'm sort of divided. Like in the wintertime, I really like to have butter because it feels heavier. It warms me up a little bit more. And then in the summer, the olive oil is what I cook with more often. It's just, I never touch butter in the summer. Just, I don't know, it's a thing. You know, it feels like when the cows are being milked in the spring and they're, you know, really and truly, like in Turkey, they do take the cows up to like a certain mountain area, and they like get them to eat all the flowers and graze up there, and then they bring them down and milk them, and then they make great butter. And it's just like, it's a seasonal thing, I think, in many places, or used to be around the world. And now we've lost all that seasonality. But I truly feel like when the seasons change, my body craves something a little different than, you know, summertime, definitely the oil. And then in the spring and colder months, I want something heavier. So what do you think about that? Is that okay?
So saturated oil has gotten a really bad rep, but I think, I mean, there's so many, but we need saturated oils, you know, because actually the saturated oils are essential for fat soluble vitamins and nutrients. They actually can lower triglycerides. I know, like, what is talking about? They can actually lower triglycerides. They can raise your HDL. They actually contribute to less harmful, or like the fluffy type of LDL, which is less hardening, that causes less vessel damage and hardening of arteries. It can actually lower inflammation by turning off genes that produce these cytokines. So especially right now, with a lot of the cytokine storms that we're seeing, because these people are metabolically unstable, it's leading to more cytokine storms. That is leading to more people suffering from these complications of COVID-19. And so this will actually, lower the inflammation that can turn off those genes that produce those cytokines, and even prevents leaky gut. So, I mean, saturated fats reduce inflammation and chronic disease, and even ones like heart disease and diabetes. I mean, so it really helps to satiate you. And that's only, but I would again only try to do those in an absence of a high refined carbohydrate diet. So if you start doing that in the presence of a high refined carbohydrate diet, and then on top of that, you're not taking a lot of omega-3s, you throw off that balance again, and that can lead to inflammation.
Can you give us an example? What would that look like? Like pizza and
absolutely. Like, for example, if you're making, I know in our culture we make lots of parathas, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to eat that with butter because Dr. Saeed said that was great. No. You see what I'm saying? That's what we used to do. Like, they're like, oh, I'm going to eat this fried bread and then I'm going to eat it with some more butter because healthy saturated. No.
It would be like in Italian ways, then it would be like a lot of pasta and bread, and then put like I'm putting olive oil on everything.
Yeah, no, it's too much. All those refined carbohydrates.
That's what happens. You know, you go to like an Italian restaurant, what do they give you? Olive oil with some garlic and parm, and then, you know, some bread to dip it in. So you think, okay, I'm getting my olive oil. You're saying, have your veggies with your olive oil. Have your
absolutely, like douse it on your and then you can use it to cook your vegetables in. You can use it to cook all these things, and so overall, the fats like coconut oil and butter really don't raise your saturated fats. But again, you can't just eat all you want, because it can, it's moderation is really important to use all of these different pieces to do that.
So if I'm having olive oil with my breakfast eggs and my lunch and my dinner, but I'm not eating bread and pasta, is that too much in a day of olive oil?
No, I mean, you want at least about 15 grams of oil per meal. I mean, is what I really recommend my patients. That's like a tablespoon of oil for your meals, a handful of nuts, so it's really just, it's a little bit, it's like moderation, right? I'm not telling you to go out and eat like tons and tons of oils all the time. It's like to have it with your meals to help you satiate. And remember, there's lots of different types of healthy fats. So we talked about the saturated fats, and those saturated fats are your butter and your coconut oils. Then we have the monounsaturated fats, and those are your olives, your avocados, and many nuts. So these are everything in this plate here. We got lots of all my nuts and the avocados. And then there's like polyunsaturated, which are your omega-3s and your omega-6s, and then there's trans fats. So, but the so we can talk about those, because remember, you want to have at least like a handful of these a couple times, at least for the meals, or, as snacks, which is really great.
Yeah.
Because these monounsaturated fats are, they come from animal and from plant species, but they actually protect you from heart disease, improve your insulin sensitivity, reduce your cholesterol, help to, are responsible for accelerating, like lower the inflammation that's responsible for accelerating, hardening of the arteries. They improve your HDL. So basically, they're really, really, really good. Different types of monounsaturated fatty acids, right? So the olives, the avocados, many nuts, really, really great. And filled with
it's just going with nature's bounty, right? It's all the stuff that grows on trees and comes from nature, rather than things that are just totally processed down and unrecognizable anymore. So it's really about kind of going to your farmer's market, or a really good grocery store that gives you a lot of that raw material, right?
Absolutely. I know. And that's why the Mediterranean diet is so great, right? Getting back to the roots, is because it's filled with all of these olives and nuts and avocados and all these oils that are all key to the Mediterranean diet. And it's so, again, lots of antioxidant, lots of nutrients. But as long as you stay away from all of the artificial stuff like the canola oil, then all of this is really delicious and awesome. And then
it's good. It's so great for your skin, right? I mean, I think just a few years ago, I started using face oils instead of soaps for my skin. And it sounds counterintuitive, because it sounds like it would break you out, but actually facial oils clean your skin. It's really interesting, so
it's really, because remember, our bodies, every cell needs these oils.
Yeah.
So it really enhances your immune system. Yeah. Filled with antioxidants. Because right now they're talking a lot about how these polyphenols are really great to help lower the cytokine storm in these foods. And again, olive oil, right? I got my olive oil right here. Olive oil, and I think we should go ahead and talk about olive oil a little bit more about what you could do with it. But remember, glass jars. You want to do small glass jars, unfiltered, organic, all best. Unrefined is the best one. Yes, because the taste of this is delicious. And you only need a little bit of olive oil to go a long way. This is where I really, really invest in a really good olive oil, because again, I don't use it as cooking. I use it as drizzling on top of it. And when you drizzle on top with olive oil, again, remember, this is probably one of the most healthiest fats or foods on the planet Earth right now. So is olive oil. Great for lowering inflammation, all that great stuff.
I think our bodies crave it, The cat was just kind of getting my attention. But it's so funny. Whenever I use coconut oil for anything, she comes running and she wants to eat it. And the vet told me you can put coconut oil in their food, and it really gives her like a beautiful coat. So it's just so interesting how the body, cats, dogs, I don't know. I mean, really, they the oils are just I don't know. It feels like she craves it. It's funny.
It is, because
I crave
it. Yeah.
It's so fascinating. Yeah.
Your gut needs it, it lowers the bad bacteria in your gut. It improves overall health. But again, remember, like glass tinted bottles will, help to prevent the oxidation. And then why don't we cook with it? I know there's going to a lot of people that are going to be asking. When we cook with olive oil, it can oxidize really quickly. And specifically when it's exposed to heat. And it has a really low smoke point. So when it has a low smoke point and you heat it above its smoke point, it can release free radicals, and that can lead to like toxic substances. So it's not recommended for cooking. So we do not really recommend this for cooking unless you have allergies or sensitivities to everything else that might cause more inflammation.
Very low heat saute for my
Very low. Yep.
very low. Nothing is ever too high heat, super fried, anything like that. And that's been the Mediterranean way for centuries, right? I mean, people, but the other thing that's also used a lot in around the world is cooking with animal fat, right? So if they're cooking a lamb or beef or even chicken, fat can be rendered, and a lot of times that's saved and stored and then used in cooking. So,
and again, all of that is really great for you. That animal fat can, again, a little bit goes a long way to help you cook with that.
Yeah.
And that can be really, really, really awesome. And then I know the butter and the ghee, again, really great, helps to lower inflammation. And then I know a lot of people, so what is ghee? So ghee is basically when you remove a lot of the particles from so it doesn't really have any lactose in it left. It's casein free. You remove most of the milk substitute solids from the actual milk or from the butter. So that's milk solids have been removed, and so those people that can tolerate, who have sensitivity to dairy, can actually tolerate ghee a little bit better, and it has a higher smoke point. And what's really, really cool is that it's really, all of these are very anti-inflammatory. They grass-fed ghee, and that's another key piece when we talked about these oils. Again, in its most purest forms is important, and specifically when it comes to butters and ghee, grass-fed, grass-finished, pasture-raised is where it's all at. And I mean, the studies that have said, oh, butter is bad, it's probably all those conventional butters. But the ones that are grass-fed actually have higher fat-soluble vitamins and nutrients, and filled with like choline and vitamin A. So really, really, really good for you.
So yeah, people are asking that question about ghee. So that's really helpful. If you can find really good quality ghee, it's really tasty to cook with. I really love it.
And I use that in a lot of my cookings. I know the one that we did for the Eid, the celebration, like I cooked it, and you just, a little bit goes a long way, like just a little tablespoon.
Yeah.
And that's all you really need.
Yeah. Do you cook a lot with coconut oil?
Which one?
Coconut oil. Do you cook a lot with coconut oil?
So I do. So then the two main that I cook with are avocado oil and coconut oil. So those are the ones that I generally cook with. So avocado oil, again, filled with such a great healthy fat. Avocados are amazing. They help with lean muscle mass, build lean muscle mass, detoxify. Avocados are so great for your hair, your eyes, your brain, your skin, your digestion. They protect against insulin resistance and are full of nutrients and antioxidants, and to help reduce the inflammation, even prevent cancer and heart disease, strokes, and really help satiate. So this is what I really cook with. I cook with avocado oil. And in my house, I mean, you can buy them anywhere, but even at your local grocery store, again, so super easy. And, even the wholesale markets now have large avocado oils. That's where, especially with the large family, that's where I get my avocado oil. And then even the coconut oil, again, super anti-inflammatory. And even specifically during this time when we're looking at antiviral, antimicrobial, antifungal, this is one of those key nutrients that has something. So I don't have any coconut here, but coconut, that actually fights. It has something called lauric acid that actually combats viral infections, increasing metabolism, promoting weight gain. I mean, it's like weight loss, promoting weight loss, strengthens your immune system. So all of it's super important, reduces inflammation. So I really, and it remains stable up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So it can be used for cooking. And so remember to look for like virgin, organic, expeller, cold pressed, unbleached, unrefined. And I know you can easily find that. So again, super important. What do you do with coconut oil?
I don't really cook with it that much unless I'm making something that the flavor really would go well with, like Asian food, which I don't make a lot of. So, but if I do, then I definitely want that oil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe in
Because
cooking I use it a little more than cooking, but yeah.
absolutely.
Flavor, because it does give a certain flavor. And I actually use coconut oil more for beauty products. Like I use it on my face, and I use it I make my own toothpaste sometimes.
No,
And
exactly. It's great for it, especially with
Right?
antimicrobial, antiviral properties. Yes.
Have you heard of pulling? Have you ever heard of pulling?
Yeah, oil pulling. So a
Oil
lot
pulling.
of people, yes, to get all those toxins out of your mouth, and it really helps.
Yeah.
Even
But
just
like,
swishing.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if anybody doesn't know what oil pulling is, it's basically you just take a bunch of coconut oil and swish it in your mouth for like 20 minutes. It's really difficult unless you're doing something alongside with it. Like if you're cleaning, or I clean the bathrooms whenever I do that. Like I'll just put it in the mouth.
See, we have more in common than I thought. And then I mix baking soda with coconut oil and a little bit of mint mint oil, basically, and then just brush my teeth with that sometimes. Not all the time, but it kind of just I can't use it every day, but it's really nice. So
it is, and even coconut oil. Actually, there's something called MCT oil. Have you heard of MCT oil?
Yes, I have that.
Great. Oh my gosh. Boost
what do you do with it? What do you do with it?
So I stick it in my smoothies.
Really?
Yeah, just add just some MCT oil in my smoothies. Actually, a lot of people put it in their coffees.
And I'm not so sure I could do that. It's kind of like butter in coffee.
They do that, like people put butter in coffee. Yeah. Butter in coffee, and you swirl it up. Oh, I've had it. So delicious. I don't do coffee.
I kind of like my coffee the traditional way, but I feel like coconut oil is it's just, for me, it's I'd rather use it cosmetically than in cooking, just because my cooking is mostly Mediterranean, so the flavor is different. But yeah, I think I have to have it in my house for sure. And
absolutely,
extra virgin coconut.
And then so coconut, butter, ghee, we talked about. Now, like nuts and seeds. So great for you. Oh my gosh, nuts and seeds. This is my platter for today. Nuts and seeds. So in my house, let me tell you, in my house, we really, I stock this. This is my pantry. In like glass jars. It's in my pantry or even in the fridge. So this is what the kids snack on. They grab like a handful of these, and it's really satiating for them. So
when I'm hungry and I'm out, I'm not gonna buy some junk food. I just having some almonds to crunch or walnuts just kind of satisfies you until you can get home and have a meal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like you think better, right?
You do. They actually do. And they say that
like little brains.
Like look at that. Like a walnut looks like the brain.
Right?
Yeah, good for your brain. Absolutely.
Isn't that crazy? I wonder, is there a reason why certain things are shaped a certain way, and then like how they affect us?
It does, and there's actually been a lot of research behind that avocados, for heart health, and specifically, we have the walnuts for your brain health. It's really, really powerful.
Are almonds good for your eyes?
Yes.
Wow, they're kind of shaped.
All different almonds. I mean, they're all really good for everything, because remember, these nuts are great sorts of like protein and minerals and fibers and essential fatty acids. They actually have omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids, and are proven to actually for cardiovascular, cancer, brain function, weight loss, prevent your glucose from spiking, lowers the risk of type 2 diabetes, and even lowers the risk of death. So again, and then even seeds, right? I think we don't give seeds enough credit. There's so many seeds out there.
Yeah, it's not part of cultural snack in the US, but in the Middle East and a lot of other places, it's so common to, when you visit somebody or you're just watching TV, to just chew on some pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds. It's as long as they're not salted, it's pretty good. Otherwise, it's bad.
Absolutely. Because seeds, remember, again, packed with all of those great antioxidants, omega-3, reduce inflammation, improve gut function, heart health, all that stuff. But how are we going to be consuming them? Then now that's important, right? Because it's ideal. It's really difficult for me. I know it's harder to find the organic, but it's possible to get the organic because they do absorb a lot of pesticides. And if you can't, I mean, even just raw, soaked overnight up to 24 hours and sprouted and then roasted, like sometimes that could be a lot of work. But for those that can do that, that's ideal, right? And then stored in like closed, tight, dark containers in like a cool location. That helps to reduce something called lectins and uratic acid that could cause a lot of problems in people. And remember, the skin of the nuts are super nutritious, and you can freeze them. So I even like sometimes, even if I get like really good quality nuts, I'll even freeze them.
Yeah, they don't have any negative way, and actually, it's a good way to keep the bugs out. Because sometimes even if you put them in a jar, somehow a bug can get in there, and it can ruin the whole thing. So freezing them doesn't do anything negative to them at all.
Yeah, they don't. Absolutely. Yeah. And right now, I mean, there's so many different. So like a handful or two of nuts a day is really great for your overall health and well-being. So that's what I try to do, like at least a handful of nuts and all different types of nuts. There's so many different types of nuts, like macadamias and hazel and walnuts and pecans and pistachios and almonds. So all great for you.
Yeah, and if you go to like any Mediterranean stores, or Middle Eastern stores, I've seen it in Chicago, where when the fresh almonds come, they'll have the fresh almonds for sale in the stores. You can get those and open them up and eat them. So go and experiment. If you've never gone into some of these like ethnic stores, they have some really interesting things seasonally. Even here now they have hazelnuts, but they're actually like, looks like the flower. So basically it's the fresh hazelnut.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I wish I had taken a picture, but I have plenty of pictures from a couple years ago when I saw them on the bushes. But when you see those in the market and you think, well, people do eat them. I mean, there's so much more to eat than we know, because so much has just been like pared down and packaged and put in bags. And you really got to like educate yourself and your kids to see like where really do things come from and how do they grow? What do they look like? Because our food system has become so covered up with what's real, So, almonds don't just come in a bag. They come from a tree, So we need to see that.
And absolutely. And right now, I think, I mean, the almonds specifically, I know, I mean, here there's like a commercial that comes and it shows like Blue Diamond. Oh yeah, look at all these trees. But then they sell these like highly processed milks, right? So again, let's go into that, because Yvonne and I can make our own milks.
Yeah, I'll send the link.
Really super easy. Yeah, that's why I was like, okay, because remember all these other milks, when you drink nut milks, they have like additives, like different types of gum and carrageenan that all alter the gut flora. So that's all not good. So we want to make sure that you. So can you tell us how do you make your nut milks?
So I'm posting a link right now about how I make the almond milk. I do not like store-bought almond milk at all. I don't feel like it tastes like almonds. Like in Italy, I've tasted it. It tastes different. It tastes like real almonds. But I think like what you just said, all those additives, and that's so important to repeat, that it changes your gut flora. Those additives and ingredients. I mean, so I'm a purist when it comes to my food, and so with almond milk. Because I was frustrated that I couldn't get the same flavor that I had tasted in Italy. I started making it myself, and it's so, if you have a blender, you can make it. So I just soak the almonds overnight. I don't even take the skins off, but you can take the skins off, but I don't. And then I just stick them the next day. I put them in a blender with some water, and you can thin it out as much as you want and dilute it. Blend it up, and then I pour it into a cheesecloth and collect all of the meal, the almond meal. And then the milk is at the bottom, so I squeeze that cheesecloth really, really tight, and then all of that almond meal, I put it on a baking tray and I stick it in the oven on low heat. If you have like a dry climate and it's summertime, you can put a cheesecloth on top and dry it in the sun too. You can do that. But that almond meal is what I use in baking instead of flour. Or I started putting that on my cereal. Like I just, sprinkled it on for some nutty flavor. I mean, don't throw it away. This stuff is expensive, and you can eat all of it. But I just posted a link on how you can make your own almond milk. It's super easy, and you can do the same thing with cashews, with walnuts, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's again because there's so many different milks out there, and it's, they say, oh, this is healthier than dairy. I mean, if you put all those other junk in it, it's really not. So that's why we have to make sure that if you're going to do almond milk, you want to find the cleanest versions of the almond milk. Organic would be preferred, so things like that. And then there's, in my house, I mean, we do so many different types of snacks with almonds and nuts. So like we do like bars with them, and whenever you do bars, you want to make sure that there's like only clean ingredients in them. Like this one specifically has like almonds and pecans and coconut and pumpkin seeds and refined coconut oil and some honey, and that's it, right? And so you want to find, again, if you're going to be doing products, because I know right now there's a lot of bars even out there that they're like, they say, with all these nuts and seeds, you want to make sure that it's really clean ingredients. And I mean, in my house, again, we do, there's like this is the stuff I keep, remember, for kids, especially to have them fun, but there's so many different products out there that you can use for, that have like all these amazing, so instead of these processed refined carbohydrates, and then I have, of course, use like, almond flour that I have. So instead of these refined carbohydrates, you can find things that are made out of nuts and seeds that are actually satiate. So you only need a couple pieces to be really truly satiated. So those are the things that I use in my house to really keep.
You find a lot of really cool things, I have to say. It's really helpful for
people.
Just
for my own sanity purposes, because when I know that there's something in the fridge that will satiate them, that will keep their gut microbiome healthy, that will help their overall health and well-being, plus they feel like they're not being deprived of the refined carbohydrates, it really does make a big difference for my sanity purpose, and for them, they feel like they're not being excluded from anything. So again, we're just replacing all of these refined junk for more healthier options, and starting with nuts and seeds and different oils that you can use. These are like one of the best snacks that you can have, besides for fruit, vegetables and fruit. So this is also great on that list. Did you just want to take a couple of questions? Let's see if
there's a lot. I think these are for you. Tips for seborrheic dermatitis.
So again, lowering overall inflammation, right? Because like getting rid of all grains, all dairy, all sugar, processed foods, lowering your body's inflammation, optimizing your body's immune system. Oh, there we go. Optimizing your body's immune system can really, really help with that. So I hope that helps. And I thought I saw a question here about like what other oils that you can use like for cooking. I mean, so remember, we have to respect these oils, and when you start using them for the oils can get damaged at certain temperatures and destroying those valuable nutrients and points. So even a good oil, if you start using it bad, if it's not properly treated or if it's heated, can turn into bad oils. So oils contain, remember, they contain these saturated fats, they contain these strong double bonds that those are the ones that will be more stable during cooking and less chance of releasing these toxins. So the ones that have like high to medium heat is like coconut oil. Coconut oil has like a smoke point about 350. Butter has one of 350. Ghee has it 450. Avocado oil actually is 520 degrees Fahrenheit. Beef tallow is 400 degrees Fahrenheit, while the low and no heat ones again are extra virgin olive oil, flaxseed oil, walnut oil, macadamia oil, sesame oil, almond oil, tahini, like all these ones that you can drizzle on top. So that was for that question. I saw that.
Yeah.
So just to clarify.
Someone asked about whey protein. Did you see that question?
So whey protein, I mean, we could talk a little bit more about that, but I don't use a lot of that because of the fact that I find a lot of people are sensitive to dairy, and usually those people. So I just try to stay away from the whey protein, just because a lot of people are sensitive to that without sugar, and so that's why in my house. So if you really want protein, then we're going to get to that to the protein section when we talk about that. But really clean ingredients. I love my collagen. I love my egg white. Right, collagen is really great. I know you have some great collagen on your store too.
Yeah, actually, we don't have any on the store anymore, but I do have some that I recommend, and I will put a link up here. I put the collagen in my coffee every morning. I love it. I swear by it. It is. And I mean, if you think about it, ancient cultures always consumed collagen. If you've ever, I watched a video about women in Japan, how they would buy the chicken, and I think like the feet and stuff, like wherever the collagen was, and they would cook it and drink the broth and eat it. I mean, it's necessary for keeping the skin nice and plump, and they have like a lot of them just have such beautiful skin. And I think a lot of it is what you eat, not just what you put on it, but what you put in your body, shows from the outside as well.
Absolutely. So awesome, Guy. So we went through these questions. So one person said is olive oil is so caloric. Remember, when you start eating this type of whey, you don't worry about the fat that you're consuming. You worry about those, because what's really going to make you gain weight is not the fat in that product, unless it's a processed fat. It's the refined carbohydrate that's going to cause you to gain weight. So actually, my patients, when I see them and my family, I stopped counting calories, because I realized that when you add fat to your diet, it actually satiates you and is really helps you heal, and it's not worried about that.
I'm putting a link up for the collagen. This one is beef source, but I'm going to also put one for like a marine sourced collagen for people.
Oh, I love the marine sourced ones. They're so great.
Yes.
Yes, I would definitely recommend eating someone else's avocado a couple times a week. Yeah, especially if you can tolerate it. It's a great way to add it. And in my house, we love making, love doing it with guacamole, right? So you chop up an avocado, add some like crushed black pepper, crushed salt. I add some olive oil to that. I'll add my, chop up some onions, chop up some tomatoes, and then a lemon. Oh, easy, done.
So easy.
Is that how you sort of make yours?
Yeah, I'm putting a link up for that. I'm an avocado. I love avocados so much. I feel like they're so great for your skin too. I mean,
they're so good for you.
I need to eat them, and I don't know about how you feel about this, but like when I've eaten some good fat, I feel like I can concentrate better.
Yeah, it's because your brain needs it,
right?
Remember, our brain is made out of 60% DHA and it's fat. 60. So we are literally all fat heads.
We're all fat heads.
We're all fat heads. You're a fat head. I'm a fat head. We're all fat heads. So
that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
That's a good thing, but the right type of fat. Because if you don't have enough of those fats to deposit, so I sort of just say, like, if you're eating a lot of bad fats, those bad fats will deposit in those brains, and that way you'll have more depression, anxiety, all these other problems.
It
Because
goes the
those are pro-inflammatory. Yes, those are pro-inflammatory fats. But when you add like fat, then you have less.
You either can get really, like calm and focused and, dare I say, happier, versus, going the other way where it actually gives you like brain fog and
It does.
depression.
Even though all the commercials and stuff believe, they're like, oh no, that doesn't, it doesn't work. But
we're both getting pinged. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I know what's going on. Exactly. But so one other person has a question here about coconut milk.
Oops.
So there's harmful. So yes, there are a lot of harmful. Like a lot of them have guar gums and things that can be okay for in some situations. But again, I try to stay away from all these additives that coconut milk can have, especially canned coconut. Easy. You just want to find Trader Joe's and a lot of places have these organic canned coconuts that are just coconut and water, and that's actually the milk substitute. When I'm in like a rush, I don't have time to make that. I go to my coconut milk. It's so satiating. And oh my gosh, my favorite snack and my favorite dessert ever is like you take a can of coconut milk, you add some nuts to that, you add some berries to that, and you add, just that in and of itself, the berries and the sweetness, like the best dessert. So like sometimes if I really need dessert and I'm craving it, that's what I do. Delicious. So.
We didn't talk about, and I have a bag here, we didn't talk about pine nuts.
Oh.
Pine nuts are fantastic. They're really expensive, but sometimes I buy the Trader Joe's bags. They're like the most reasonable that I find in price. But a little bit of those goes a long way. I mean, people think about only using them in pesto, but if you there's a recipe I saw on the Anthony Bourdain show where he went to Morocco or Tunisia, and they chopped up strawberries, drizzled honey, and then put pine nuts on top. And that was like breakfast. So you had your fruit, you had your sweet, and you had your fat. They just whatever grows, I'm sure. And like, Mediterranean climates get those pine cones and nuts, and so again, it's something that if you can get your hands on it locally, that's great. If not, Trader Joe's is like a great option.
It is.
But they're high in fat, right? The pine nuts are really high in fat, but definitely
really good fat. So I think we just proved that fats are really good for you. The bad fats are really bad for you. So we got to stay away from that. But no, thank you. This was such this conversation with you every time is like so much fun.
Thank you so much.
Especially when we're like scarf matching, right? Like the colors.
Oh, yeah, I didn't plan this. And I just last minute threw it on. So
excellent.
Thank you so much for enlightening us with all of this amazing knowledge that is just powerful. And I hope everybody is appreciating and enjoying and spreading. Please take a moment to share this week's episode and go back into our Facebook and YouTube feeds and share those as well with as many people as who you think will benefit. I mean, there's just so much good information in what Dr. Saeed is sharing, and I'm learning a lot every week, and we're on the same page, and so
we are. And it's like it's powerful. And these are things right now where we're living in a world where we're like, oh, there's really nothing we can do. There's so much you can do.
That's not true
There's
at
so
all.
much you can do. You can improve the resilience of your body, and adding healthy fats into your healthy fats and getting rid of those processed fats will help to improve your optimal resilience. So let us know what you guys do. And if you guys have any questions, we'll go through these again. We are here for you. So have a great week, you guys.
Yes. Take care, everybody. We're signing off now, and see you next week. Bye. Assalamu alaikum.